Red Cloud, New Day is a 2026 feature film recognized for its intense, action-focused storyline, often featuring gritty, stunt-heavy scenes. It's based on the Red Cloud comic book series, action figures, and the short Red Cloud Deliverance, which won the Spirit of Comic-Con and played at the Comic-Con conventions from 2014 to 2016. It was named one of the top 10 comic book movies of all time by Cinema Craze. These are some initial screening audience feedback sessions. Enjoy!
This one is called Red Cloud, New Day. This is an epic feature based on the Red Cloud comic books. The narrative is fabulous, spanning many years. The characterizations are crystal clear. The acting is quite convincing, especially Red Cloud, whose performance is so grounded and real, and the lead performers playing Anne as a child and as an adult. The camera is capably worked, lots of soft, sentimental moments, and then some very painful, close-up, violent scenes. You really feel the true connection between Anne and Red Cloud from the beginning, and I appreciate that. There's a fabulous song list of classic music throughout that fits right in. I would love to see more exciting episodes of Justice from this comic book series. Well done.
Red Cloud, I was really intrigued by this. I thought that this did kind of like almost like an anti-hero, or at the very, very, very least, a morally gray or, kind of morally ambiguous hero, really well, because you could see that like he obviously cared about the girl and cared about how she was doing, trying to help her out, setting her up the best that he could, like getting her to go on runs and training her a little bit, and obviously like giving her a place, but at the same time like didn't hesitate to shoot the mom and his old enemy that had come back for him. And even though yes, he was like restrained and had been beaten and all of these other things, didn't like, I feel like what they showcased of his skill set earlier on versus what you saw at the very end was a little bit of like, there was a little bit of a gap between, I feel like, and maybe this was just how I watched it and how I saw it, of like they had shown him having like such a high skill set of like being able like to take on multiple assailants and to be able to like really defend himself and all of this stuff, and then the like what we actually saw him do at the end, like in his own apartment, I feel like was a little bit like there was a slight like disparity between the skill set. And like I said, maybe that's just like how I viewed it, of yes, he still fought and he still was restrained and all of those things, but I do feel like they had shown him being like this like really, really impressive, slightly like almost, because it's like based off of a comic, so like this a little bit like bigger than like larger than life kind of like really impressive like operative, whether that's like a secret agent or a spy or an assassin or whatever. But then at the end, I think also just like based off the questions that he had asked her of like, oh, like, would you ever go back to him and all of these kinds of different things, that I just feel like there's a little bit of a disparity, and like he still survived at the end, but she didn't. And I think that like by severing that, it was like his last tie to humanity and like his last tie to like humans or Earth or something like that. And so then at the very end, when he like kind of turns into the Ravens, I thought that was like really interesting, because I definitely took it as like that was like the last thing that was keeping him tethered, was his connection with this girl, because from his like backstory, that he like didn't have any other family or anybody else that he really cared about except for like this one person. And then after she died, he was kind of like, I feel like free or released. But I found the entire thing really, really interesting. I found like the kind of subplots and the like I said, this kind of like idea of like this anti-hero who does what he does and does what he can, but also does kill people and will take the shot even if it means killing a quote-unquote innocent, like her mom. But I found it really, really fascinating to watch.